there's a fire, like a forest fire, right? And then the firefighters put it out. And then as they're going through these sort of like burned wreckage of these woods, a corpse is found.
Okay.
An inexplicable corpse that doesn't seem to have died by burning. There is a body in the trees.
Oh.
Not just any body. This is a person who is wearing scuba diving gear.
Huh.
Might even still have the mask over their face, the aerator in their mouth, the flippers on their feet.
I feel like there's some like lost shit.
Yes, like a polar bear being on a tropical island.
Yeah.
Yes, the point is, how did a scuba diver end up in a tree in a fire?
Right.
So here's what I've got to explain it. Some of this is from Snopes. Here's part of the way that they would explain this. Fire authorities in California found a corpse in a burned-out section of forest while assessing the damage done by a forest fire. The deceased male was dressed in a full wetsuit, complete with a dive tank, flippers, and face mask. A post-mortem examination revealed that the person died not from burns, but from massive internal injuries. Dental records provided a positive identification. Investigators then set about determining how a fully clad diver ended up in the middle of a forest fire. It was revealed that on the day of the fire, the person went for a diving trip off the coast, some 20 kilometers away from the forest. The firefighters, seeking to control the fire, called in a fleet of helicopters with very large buckets.
Okay.
They dipped these buckets. I'm now moving away from the quote.
Up?
Yeah. They dipped their buckets in the water, accidentally scooped up a diver, and dumped him along with the water into the forest fire to put out the flames.
What a freak accident.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
That's horrible.
Fully clad scuba diver ends up in the tree in a forest fire, didn't die by fire, dies from the injuries sustained from being dropped out of a helicopter.
That is terrible.
Well, I have great news for you because it's never happened.
Okay, good.
There is not a single recorded instance of this
As soon as you
ever
gave
happening.
a chuckle, I figured it must not be real.
Yeah, the sort of like the dirty little secret
Yeah.
of urban legends is that they have never happened before.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it seems to be, and some of this is going to be my editorializing. It's similar to stuff that we've talked about on the show before. Some of them are almost, not in this case, obviously, but some urban legends are almost cautionary tales.
Yeah, or sometimes it's something that is factual, but it's very tweaked.
Yeah.
Or something. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe perhaps somebody was dropped in this manner somewhere, but not quite these details.
Yeah,
I'm glad
somebody
it's
whips
totally
up a story around
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there's not a single case of this ever happening. And in fact,
Fabulous.
It's incredibly unlikely for it to ever happen because
Imagine.
helicopters don't just have some gigantic Mr. Bucket that they're dipping into the
it
ocean.
seems like the bucket would have to be like as big as the helicopter
Yeah.
for this to happen and pick up a person by accident. For
Certainly
them-
way bigger than the guy.
Exactly. For them to just get kind of like swept back into it.
I know, like dunking a huge soup ladle into a lake.
Right.
I don't think so. That certainly doesn't happen.
No, I can't imagine.
So also, still from Snopes, usually it is what is called a bombardier water tank that is used to scoop up water. And it's not just some open-topped bucket, like some Halloween candy bucket. It usually has a 1 foot wide opening for the water to rush in.
Yeah.
1 foot. Meaning it's too small an opening for a swimmer to be like trying to frantically swim against the current and get
wearing
sucked
scuba
in.
diving gear.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be like the plot of like, one of the Alien movies where like somebody pokes a hole in the hull of a ship and everything gets sucked out through like a dime-sized hole.
Right.
Doesn't happen that
Or a
way.
very weird Final Destination segment.
Yes, absolutely. There are also heli-tankers, which are literally helicopters that have a fixed tank on them, that suck up water through a hose, which is known as a, quote, donkey dick.
Oh, okay.
I wonder who came up with that clever. Is this like an official term? Snopes used it.
Maybe it is just it's just become a colloquial thing that they all say.
I'm assuming this is the proper term.
Yeah.
The opening of the hose is only a couple of inches in diameter. Now, I'm making light of a lot of this because it's never happened before,
Right.
but Snopes does have a somewhat, thematically related kind of incident. Though it's impossible to be scooped or sucked up into a water bomber, there has been at least one injury to a swimmer resulting from coming too near to one while it was in the process of reloading.
Oh.
In 1998, a swimmer in Corsica was caught in eddies caused by a bombardier and thrown against a landing stage. I guess it's just saying the bucket went in the water, was sucking stuff up, and this swimmer did get sucked to the hole.
Oh.
Which
and then
is no good.
No, and then I drowned or something because they were like attached to it? Like they couldn't get away? I don't really understand.
She suffered a bruised leg.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
so then it's like if you put the vacuum on your leg.
Yeah, it's not even like Chuck Palahniuk guts or something like that, where it just like vacuums you out. It
honestly, it's so strange that you say that. That came to me, I'm going to say either yesterday morning or this morning. For some reason, I just thought of that. And I was like, ugh, how miserable. So it's a weird thing that just came up.
The Chuck Palahniuk short story Guts was almost passed around. It was part of like an anthology of stories.
Yeah.
But it was almost shared around online to people to gross each
Look at
other
this
out.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like some kid, sits his butt down on like
It's disgusting.
some sort of a vent thing at the bottom of a pool and gets
His inside
fused
sucked
to
out.
it. Yeah,
and it's like very evocatively described.
Oh, incredibly evocatively described. Chuck Palahniuk has never written anything that didn't make me want to throw up.
I know. And yet when I was a teenager and I wanted to be cool,
I know.
I was like, yeah, Chuck Palahniuk, hell yeah. But
There
I was
was
like,
no
oh.
edgier writer to be into.
No.
Maybe Bret Easton Ellis.
Oh, also a big herc.
Hork.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure about that.
You and me both, sister. Okay.
Good one.
Thanks.
So I thought this was pretty clever, honestly, on Snopes' part. It has been suggested that the legend's origin lies in a collection of how did this person die puzzles. Because it is such a cut and dry tale of contrast.
Yeah.
Forest fire, and there's a body in a tree dressed as if they were going scuba diving.
Right.
How did it happen? You ask 20 questions to unravel it.
Yeah, it could be part of, what's that game we play?
Crack the Case.
Yeah.
Dad's favorite game. Which is like to say that essentially it was contrived because it is unlikely and absurd.
Yeah.
Right? But then it sort of, I guess for some reason, this in particular was such an evocative story or such a fun, like, that seems impossible, that people started to tell each other about it and became known as something of an urban legend.
Yeah.
They also say that the appeal of the legend lies in a combination of a few factors that I thought they were pretty much right about. One, people are endlessly fascinated by dumb way to die stories. Can you believe this guy died that way?
For sure.
It's like the Darwin Awards or something like that, which is, when it actually has happened, is very bleak.
Yes, I know. It's really messed up.
What an
actually.
idiot for dying in an unlikely way.
I know, and they have like a family and stuff. Don't give that person a Darwin Award that their family's aware of.
It's pretty, we should look at that.
Ugh.
It speaks to our fear of being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time and of dying in a freak accident, which means that it's one of those sort of like, you get to point at it and go like, that happened to somebody else.
Right.
It lets you feel distanced from a dangerous thing, thereby feeling safe. The puzzlement of the authorities trying to figure out how did this guy end in the tree is seen as amusing to the readers who may have already figured out what happened, thus giving them that I'm smarter than they are kind of feeling. These are great pieces of analysis. I think.
I think so too.
The reasons why people would latch onto this.
Yep.
Now, I did find this is a story. This myth has been used in pop culture in a few different ways. A big one is a movie I've never seen before called.
I've never heard of this before.
You've never heard of this legend before?
No.
Wow. I'm actually going to prove you wrong in a second.
Okay.
But the movie Magnolia.
I've never seen Magnolia.
I've never seen Magnolia.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it.
I thought that you have and you liked it.
No, never saw it.
Oh, okay.
But evidently they talk about this legend because I think Magnolia is one of those movies where it's like, can you believe how intertwined people's lives often are? And this is used as an example of like, it's incredibly unlikely that it would happen, but it happened.
Okay.
So it's used to good effect for their story.
I do want to see Magnolia, but clearly not badly enough.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I guess I would have seen it. But
I would like to watch it.
Me too.
Yeah. It was in season 2, episode 5 of CSI.
Oh, okay. Then
So I know for a
certainly
fact
have.
you've seen it. We used to literally I'm surprised this hasn't come up in some way, shape, or form.
I think it has.
We used to collectively, mainly the three of us. I think Mom, you probably watched a few with. I know our mom's watching live.
Yeah.
You probably watched a few with us.
But it's like not necessarily her jam, really.
Right.
Yeah.
We would buy the complete seasons of CSI and then very deliberately go episode 1, episode 2, watch them all together. And so I remember this episode where they find a scuba diver in a tree. I didn't remember what happened. The episode is called Scuba Dooby Doo.
What a show.
Well, hell of a
It
show.
seems like a good thing. Honestly, so the reason I know that we've talked about it before on the show is that one, maybe two people have reached out to us and said, I would love to hear you guys talk about CSI.
Oh, really?
Because we must have mentioned it. Yeah.
I would love to talk about CSI. There are some crazy storylines on CSI.
Yeah.
So they do find a scuba diver in a tree in a forest fire, and they really have to piece out what happened. They do discuss the notion of being dumped from a bucket thing, and they're like, no, it didn't happen that way. And it seems almost crazier.
What happens?
Yeah, it's like the guy was murdered, and then his body was placed in the forest to make people think his death happened like an accident, like the original urban legend.
Yeah.
But really, he was murdered and placed in a wetsuit.
That is crazy.
That is
and then he has to be
crazy.
placed up in a tree?
No.
Oh.
The fire ignited the oxygen tank, which blasted him up into the tree. That is like the dumbest possible.
Once again, what a show.
Bravo. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I read it and I was like, that is so stupid. And then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, but how entertaining.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that
How
show was so
entertaining.
fun.
Yeah.